All right. Hello, welcome everyone. Welcome everybody. I hope you guys have a solid morning today, and let's see what we'll get. So today is Friday. Weekly objective was met. Was met. Price took buy side recently, and yeah, I'm not expecting expansion, continuous expansion at this point. Might be wrong, but that's what I'm thinking. So I'll annotate the salient liquidity pools since Asia. So since Asia, price moved higher. Here it's consolidating, so the sell side, those sell side liquidity pools might be initial draw at least. This is first presentation. Exactly, that's the first printed fair value gap after midnight. Very nice, obvious imbalance. It was traded up into it here, and then price slowly rolled over, minor sell side, and it's heading towards this more pronounced low right here. So yeah, that's that definitely makes sense. And then we will see whether it wants to continue for those relatively cool lows. Generally, or to be honest, I'm like neutral today. I don't hold like any real bias. After the weekly target was actually met, I'm like neutral. I don't know. I don't know if it wants to go higher, if it wants to go lower. It could technically do both, which is basically why I'm neutral. So let's see. This is the last London Open session for this week. Next week I'm going to be doing the New York Open pre-market, and with that said, I hope this one will be clean or cleaner. So far I like what it does here. I was a little bit too late to kinda engage on this, as my initial talking point took my attention away from potential entry here to run the sell side. But let's see. So there is a small volume imbalance and fair value gap right here. So I'm watching if it can give me like another touch to this. So let's annotate the 2 a.m. that starts the session for me. And so far what I see, price traded up into an inefficiency, moved right away lower, formed an inefficiency here, it's tapping into it right there. Sell side is yet to be taken out here, and so far it gives me the low resistance liquidity run signatures that I like to see. So I'm looking forward to try something like this. Stop loss above this highest fair value gap. I'm entering before the sell side is being taken out there, and I'm assuming that it should be seeking a lower level of sell side there. So yeah, what I generally don't want to see is this fair value gap here to be inversed, right? So as long as the bodies are staying below, I'm expecting a rollover lower, basically. Okay, looks like it wants to revisit maybe this fair value gap here, which I can allow for, but strict reaction would be required. Preferably it's being capped at this one, but yeah, I'm giving it like a time stop. So we moved up into it, and if it's low resistance, if it's good, 1 2 3 candles, and it should be leaving that range and moving lower. So that was a very shallow run on this low, not doing the job in my opinion. So yeah, as it's leaving this range here like this, it should like now offer like a larger displacement lower. Good morning, Candy. Hello, nice to see you. Hope you're having a great morning so far. Alright, so tapping below this low, I don't want to see like a rejection. That's not what I want to see. I want to see a heavy large candle lower below this. Otherwise it's near term problematic in terms of it could offer some higher resistance, higher retracement. But let's see. That was an indecisive candle. So this one I want to like overlap it to the downside if it's solid. And what I want to see, I want to quickly be reaching towards this relative equal lows. That's the very signature that I would like to see. Right, so it gave a close below and now continuation. In my opinion, I can trim the stop loss above this high, as I don't think that price should be trading up into it here if it's solid here, and the way it looks like it should just offer a free fall lower. And yeah, so next stop I'm watching those relative equal lows and how quick and how we can trade down to those. That's my point of interest right now. All right, and the way we will trade below those lows will be indicative whether we are likely to reach this objective here or not. But yeah, I want to see continuous delivery lower here. No retracements, no large up candles, just heavy price action rolling over. That's what I want to see. I will also annotate the new day opening up, because there was none or zero new day opening up on the classical basis. This is an actual new day opening up too. So that level is basically overlapping with the sell side. So that's a solid draw near term, but if it's heavy, if it's going lower here, then I want to see like this level traded below and then being used as somewhat of resistance, right? Oh well, yeah, I was thinking what does it mean shining, but yeah, sun is shining. That's nice, that's nice. Apparently tonight where I live the snow was falling, so yeah, very weird at this time of the year, but nonetheless a little bit of snow is outside, so it's cold, it's really cold, but yeah, nonetheless, let's see, uh, anytime I want to see this like break lower aggressively and reach this relative equal lows and the new day opening up here, and how we trade there will be indicative whether we are able to reach something more. That's how I see it. So in difference to the last 3 London Open sessions on Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday that I was doing, this one today is showing potential for low resistance liquidity run conditions. So yeah, there is clearly like a difference to it. It still could change, right? But nonetheless, the way it looks so far, it's very different from the other days. So that's a observation on my part, and if that's the case, then this should be an easy run lower, and that's it. So these very small candles here, compression like this, should bring large ranges afterwards. Okay, so we are approaching the sell side here. Okay, this candle tapped into the sell side, and now I want to see a dive below that. So just like smash right through it, and that would be indicative that this low still might be a potential. Because we are taking the sell side right there, I'm going to set my stop loss to break even, because if I'm wrong and if it tears higher, I don't want to lose on this one. If I had more than one contract, a partial here would be very good good moment for that. So I'm still watching, still fishing, if you can see some continuation. That might be it. I don't know it right now, or I don't know it yet, but I personally would like to see it attack towards those lows. So we'll see. There is also this inefficiency right here, so I will annotate that because that's the last inefficiency, last busy before the sell side actually. So that's also like a area for partial or taking profits if it would go there. So nonetheless, we are trading to and through this new day opening up, and we've taken sell side. So I really don't want to see much reaction here. There is this small inefficiency, include the volume imbalances right there, and preferably price stays rather heavy with it. So preferably we don't go above it. That's ideal. And until we go above it, I'm not trying to worry. So let's see. The only issue I see is that since the start of the session we just fall down for lower into sell side, and there was no real run on the buy side. So I'm keeping that in mind, kinda, that it maybe could do it or could refer to that. So I'm really like willing to see like quick rejection here, move lower below this area, and then I'm good to go to expect lower prices. If it fails to do so and scrambles, I might just close the position and be content with this little run here, and that there wouldn't be anything wrong about it too. So alright, so it's fighting here a little bit, and yeah, ideally it just gives way and offers some measure of like displacement below this low, and then we know it's likely to continue, and that's the ideal signature that we would like to see. It also should happen relatively quickly, relatively smoothly. In terms of time, we don't want to spend too much around here, because the longer we spend in here, the probabilities fall, in my opinion, that we could see some deeper retracement, and we don't necessarily want to see that if we are in this position. So yeah, again, I would love to take something off here as a partial, but one contract doesn't allow me that. So I'm really like fishing to see if we can take this low out, and if it's just like a little sweep and come back, then I would consider closing the position right there. But if we can take this low with a large displacement to the downside, then I would be like trimming the stop loss above this high and be comfortable like riding this possibly lower. But this right here, that's not something I necessarily like to see. Also, it's like respecting the upper half of this new day opening up with the bodies, so that's also a little bit problematic. So tapping into this CB is fine, but it needs to see a rejection rather quickly, rather smoothly. Otherwise, it's then becoming problematic. But until proven otherwise, I'm basically sticking to the idea that I outlined right away. So for my liking, it's spending a little bit too much time around here, and that personally is or feels a little bit problematic here, not gonna lie. But as long as the bodies are staying in the lower half of this CB, and that's the case, I'm thinking that it still could deliver lower. It's still up to possibly deliver lower. And because we are in those low resistance liquidity run conditions here, I demand speed, I demand precision, I demand reaction at key levels. So now approaching this low, that's key. Preferably we see like large candle with displacement taking over this. Then I'm trimming my stop loss above this high and basically leaving it as it is to run to the blue shaded box. But only if I see the displacement, then I trim the stop loss to this high. No displacement as it is yet. The low hasn't been even taken yet. I believe it traded to the low, to the tick, but not taken it out. So indecisive candle here. So the next one, I would like to see it overtake those. In my opinion, we did enough work inside of this inefficiency here that we wouldn't need to come back there. But let's see. So another indecisive candle here, and it's very small range, which suggests range expansion, and within the idea or bias that I hold here, or the draw lower, I would prefer to see a large down candle. Alright, so let's see if we can get it here. Any large up candle is not welcome at this point. So touching the low of the CB, that's probably like maximum I would like to see. But yeah, the longer it stays in this little consolidation, the more problems it's generating for this to continue. It's slight. Alright, so one last touch to the high of the NDOC. And yeah, if it's good, I want to see this displacement, this reaction lower. I don't want to see this stalling for like a long time. So far price in here is just marking time. It didn't violated the whole idea and whole structure. This CB, the bodies hasn't closed above it, so it's all proper. And this technically is still all possible to see it move lower. But yeah, I'm also trying to like manage the expectations and look for the red flags where the probabilities start shifting against me, and that's why I want to leave this range and take out those lows, those relative equal lows with displacement. So we are taking those right now, and this is very important to see on large down candle traded over top of that, because if we only stop and then reject, that's really problematic then. Okay, this I don't like. This is what I don't like. So I'm giving like one candle to see if we can overtake this week, but if not, I'm honestly apt to close it, but I'm giving it a chance that this was like a trap or fake out. Because it traded to the premium here and rejecting, that's promising, but there is no funny money games anymore. It has to lay a large down candle over top of this. If it doesn't, then I'm clearly getting off. So yeah, next 1-2 candles need to perform a specific way. All right, this is poking higher here. That's problematic because we had relative equal lows. We tapped into them like this, no displacement. we've taken this sell side, our retracement could be warranted here, could be argued, and if that's the case, that's pretty problematic. So as no bodies are entering this inefficiency still, the price is being held captive. I'm still like watching, but if we post a close above this consecutive encroachment, then I'm probably out. So look how the bodies are staying at the low of this CB, and that's permissible. That's probably the only thing that held me inside of this trade. But again, this week needs to be destroyed to the downside, and that makes sense now, because if that was like a trap to make people that think that it's going higher, and they reprice to this premium here, stiff resistance, and now like they could reprice quickly lower. But yeah, it has to start dropping lower quickly. Okay, I like this, I like that, good start. So close below the new day opening up, and now let's lose the ground here. This could act as potential displacement, but we still need to close on this candle somehow lower and don't overlap this open range. Alright, so far so good. I like to see that. That's good. That's a good signature here. Alright, so we closed. There is this displacement taking this low out. And with that said, I want to trim my stop above this high here. Aggressive would be probably above the consecutive encroachment, something like that. Both work. And now I want to see price head towards this inefficiency here by C. That's the next stop, next partial, next profit taking objective. We'll see if we can get there and how we will get there too. All right. So heavy one-sided price action is really welcome down to this inefficiency. And then there are few scenarios, but the scenario that I'm personally most interested in is if price could like right away smash right on through it, like for example from here just dump it below and close below. If that's the case, then I'm very comfortable with holding for the low. If we start stalling inside of it, then I'm probably done inside of this inefficiency. So we got this busy. That's great. And I don't want to see, like, you know, sensitivity or like any significant rejection out of this, because this is actually an area where my trade idea could fail and see higher prices. So that's like another area for partial. If I had one wrong, if I had more than one contract, I would be taking some partial, some profits here, as it was hitting this. So it did touched into this inefficiency first candle only with a week, and that's not ideal. That's not what I wanted to see, to be honest. But I'm giving it like 2 more candles to see if we can maybe dive and explore this inefficiency like even further. So we'll see how it goes. But again, if it's good, it should be like quick. It shouldn't like spend too much time inside of it. It should just roll over through it, and that's it, right? So alright, this candle here forms swing low like this. I'm not a fan, Still, I'm watching if we can post like a lower low, and that could maybe take us in the lower half of this. But this in here is problematic. Alright, I don't like to see this up candle violating this down candle like this. That's an issue. There is a very small little fair value gap up there, so I will zoom in. I'm talking about this. So it could, or yeah, it could maybe want to revisit this and then possibly try to explore again. So far it couldn't even reach this, so that's good. I like to see that. And I'm watching this short-term low, whether price makes an attempt to take over it. But again, we don't want to see price spend too much time in this area. It's because we are technically like relative to this low to high in a deep discount. So if it's going to go lower, we want to see like do it quickly, because this is an area where it could see retracement, where it could trade higher also. So That's somewhat like an issue here. Alright, so we are indeed trading into this inefficiency, and let's see if we can reject that and make a lower low. But again, since open we had basically no run on buy side. We went into a significantly deep discount here and taken sell side many times along the way. So I believe, yeah, we closed above this. I believe that I might be like more aggressive about my stop and trim it like above 50% of the new day opening up, so that if it stops me out, then I banked something at least, but still allowing the position that if it wants to roll over, then this is the place to do so. But admittedly, I'm like in doubt. I don't know. I think we are going to see a deeper retracement now. I think it's likely. I'm not saying it's 100%, but it looks likely though. And yeah, I can justify it definitely. So might be stopped out here. But yeah, if it's like stopping me out in profit, then it's not that all that terrible. So it's kissing to the new day opening up low, and if it's still bearish, if it's still like willing to make a lower low, that would be like an area to watch it roll over. But because we haven't seen like much in terms of like runs on the buy side liquidity recently, we could suffer a higher or deeper retracement than this. So now, because the price closed above this inefficiency here, it could act as inversion, which I don't want to see that, right? I would like to see it fail to act as inversion and close below it, and that would be like somewhat constructive to possibly or potentially see it still making a lower low. But yeah, at this point the probabilities are shifting in my opinion against me. That's why I'm more aggressive about trailing the stop loss. So yeah, okay, I like that. I like this close below this, so it failed to inverse. It used the low of the new day opening up. That's great. And we could possibly see price now make a lower low. But yeah, again, it shouldn't be wasting time. It should be doing this like quickly. But yeah, with this type of signatures like this, I'm like, game on. We can still possibly see a lower low. So I'm very like happy about what I see. So again, we will be approaching this BSI, and again, I want to see smash right on through it. So I will also annotate this low. It hasn't been taken out yet. Alright, so now it could dive. It should dive. If it's going for the lower sell side, it should dive. No time or no need for funny games here. So we are taking the low, and this candle is quite important right now. I don't want to see rejection. Rejection higher is not welcome. Right here. Only heaviness is welcome. Okay, I don't like to see that. I don't like how the body stayed at the high here and it took this low out. Okay, so I'll be closing this here. I might be wrong. We'll see, and we'll judge in a moment. If it goes lower, then I was wrong. But if it goes higher, then I was right about it. Let's see. Nonetheless, I banked a reasonable position here. But what made me close the trade was that we've taken this low only with a week, rejected, and closed above this BC, and the bodies were respecting the BC here, and we are going into macro, and we've haven't taken buy side in a while. So I'm not saying that it has to trade higher, but because I had only one contract and I couldn't take partials, and that was a partial, must partial here, then that's why I closed it. So now it will be kind of interesting to see whether it actually trades higher. Basically, if it trades above this high, then I would have been stopped out, and that would mean that I did a good decision. But yeah, we'll see. So but clearly the difference between the market in the London open session the last 3 days versus what we've seen today, that's enormous difference though. And you can see that I do the recaps, the short version of the whole session, and yeah, it's like very contrasting there. So price running like this, I would feel very uncomfortable if I didn't close anything here. If I didn't close out, I would feel very uncomfortable with this rally up, because it could easily take out this buy side. It could easily reach even to this buy side here, and that would be problematic. But yeah, so next time I need to remember to open like more than one contract, at least like 2, so I can like have like more room to manage it and like use partials and stuff like this. Because if I had 2 contracts, I would take one here and one would be still like floating with stop loss around here, so I would be still like looking for that low, but if it stopped me out, then I would be content because I banked something at the low. But yeah, maybe next time. Yeah, we'll see, Candy. We'll see how it goes. I hope it was a good idea. I honestly know it was a good idea, even if it goes lower. Then I know that was a good idea because that was a just good idea. My gut was telling me so, and yeah. Asia low, the draw liquidity. Still could be, but we'll see. Yeah, the main issue I had with it was also that since the 2 a.m. we basically just moved lower only, and no buy side was taken, and we just kept on moving lower, and that's rarely not seeing any like retracement or a run on buy side. So we'll see. So far it's holding like pretty damn like weak here. It can't even overtake this in efficiency. It can't even lay a body inside of it, so that's not that strong, but it's basically stuck inside this little range in here. So it became more 50-50 in my opinion. Yet the draw is still lower, but will it deliver from where it is? I don't know. So we'll see. So yeah, nonetheless, next week, important announcement. Next week I will be doing the New York pre-market. So the stream will be starting at 7 a.m. New York time, and it will last until around 9 o'clock New York time. So that's the schedule for the next week. And the week after that we'll be playing with the 9:30 opening bell in the morning session. So basically that's the schedule for the next 2 weeks, and I hope we'll have some fun there too. Alright, so the way it's stalling and not moving in here is questionable. Alright, so looks like now it tries to make an attempt to run this short-term high. right there. But yet failing at this inefficiency. So yeah, tricky, but the longer it takes, this looks like a bear flag here to me. And in this environment, in this context, I think this one is false and it's likely to fail. But again, I don't have a horse right now in the race. I'm not looking for an entry right now also. I'm just trying to figure out whether it wants to continue going lower or not. And right now it's playing dirty. It's playing very dirty, so I'm glad I'm out, to be honest. That's for sure. By the way, for anyone who didn't notice yet, in the description there's a link. There's a link to a Telegram channel that's completely free. I don't have any paid services anyway, so whatever. But I treat this little Telegram channel as my little private secret society, where we are keeping to stay one step ahead of price, and I'm just writing my thoughts there and some analysis, sometimes trades and stuff. So if you would like, I invite you to join, and we'll have some fun there too. And yeah. Alright, so it's really prompting to take out this buy side. Now relative equal highs into this new day opening up. It's really like prompting to trade into it. So we'll see. We'll see how it goes. But again, because it's Friday, because we already moved a lot this week, I'm really not interested in pushing like super hard, and yeah, even though this wasn't maybe like a lot of movement, it was like good and precise enough to consider working with it in comparison to the previous 3 days where we were having or seeing a lot more mess, super sloppy, high resistance, uber overlapping ranges and stuff like that. And yeah, that was very difficult to navigate. and to trade versus this here. Alright, so it did took out this high. Now we'll see how far deeper or how far above it can go. Nonetheless, if I then close my trade right there after this short-term low was rejected, then I would be probably stopped out about here. And yeah, so I think I made a good decision. And yeah, that's great. That's awesome actually, because this is process that repeats. By the way, we have 5 people watching right now, which is probably like a record for this week. So I'm also glad for that. Thanks for the trust in a little underdog streamer from Poland. I do suffer some internet or connection issues. That sucks. I don't know why, to be honest, but sometimes it's happening. Sometimes it doesn't. Sometimes I can stream for like 3 hours and I don't lose any frame. But today I lost some, so that's not ideal. Sorry for that, but not much I can do about it besides paying for my internet. And yeah. Alright, so price became a little bit sloppy here. It became a little bit fuzzy and overlapping. So it kind of looks like we changed from this low resistance to more of a high resistance type of conditions, digging deeper into this new day opening up, touching to the old relatively close sell side, and from here what's the range? The most obvious range would be this high to this low right now. So we are still in the lower half of it, still kind of like discount. So I wouldn't be surprised if we reached maybe towards this fair value gap here. Maybe. If it's really like overzealous. Because this is also like very like heavy going lower, and there is a lot of buy side here that could be disrupted before more significant price run. But yeah, I don't know. I don't have like a very clear idea about what it wants to do at this moment, besides retracing back inside of this range. Revisiting this first printed fair value gap could be in the cards. I would say so. So yeah, trading into this CB right now. Let's see if we can close above it. If yes, then it should work like a foothold to offer support for higher prices. So I'm watching that. Alright, so the bodies are struggling to close above the 50% of this inefficiency, so that's interesting. Formation of bullish breaker inside of current new day opening up. Yeah, I mean, by definition, yeah, it's a low, high, lower, low. I would use this candle, this more beefy bodied candle, and yeah, we can watch that, but it's more like a study. I don't pay like too much attention to it. Interesting how the new day opening up low got traded like this. Price rejected slightly. Alright, so this might be somewhat of a bullish signature here after this low like this, being rejected nicely higher. It looks like it could maybe seek some higher prices from where it is. And where would that be? From this high to this low, equilibrium around here. So the most obvious inefficiency would be this 153. That's obviously assuming a lot. That's assuming that we will climb above this imbalance here and then use it as support possibly, and then maybe run up into this, but not in the cards right now. Actually, the body is respecting the lower half, and now we are seeing some measure of displacement. So let's see, because maybe we can make a case still for a potential run lower after we've seen some measure of retracement, right? I don't want to sell the idea too hard, but it's in realm of possibilities. Definitely. So if that's the case, this breaker here should offer no support to price. If it does offer sensitivity, then it's something else. But let's see. So far it's showing no real sensitivity. The idea would be still to watch and see this BESI. If we can trade below it, then if you trade into it, it should act as inversion and run the sell side. So that would be kind of like the idea here. That we can watch. Again, I don't know what's happening, but I'm having some issues with the connection. That's not good. Alright, I like how it's quickly displacing through all of this. That's pretty solid here. If it's really like willing to seek this low, we would like to see it close below this BC. So far we only tapped into it with a weak and now rejecting higher. So this discount week consecutive encroachment, I'm eyeballing it. We close below it. If the price can stay below it on a closing basis, then we should be overtaking this to the downside, and that would be a bearish order flow. But if we don't, then again it becomes kinda problematic, right? Alright, and clearly so far it's trading way above. So yeah, I don't know. It's kind of like entering some more of a high resistance liquidity run conditions, in my opinion. Or this could be like more of a early sign of that potential high resistance. Because yeah, if we go back like 3 candles, this candle overlaps with this candle, and this candle overlaps mostly with this candle here. So 3 candles all overlapping the bodies, I mean the ranges. And now this candle opened and overlaps most of this previous candle again. So that's not a signature we want to see unless we just start running away, but it's tricky to tell because we are inside of a deep discount. We had some measure of retracement, and if it were like really solid, it should be like very quickly running, but it's not. So that's already like sus. And now we have this high and this high, and you know what that is, relative equal highs. So I wouldn't feel very comfortable going short anywhere here, knowing that we have relative equal highs, like so very close to it. Even if it would go lower, that's generally not something I want to do. So I'll annotate those highs, relative equal. I will take off this old sell side to clear the chart a little bit, but this is something to keep in mind. Also, all of this is just like a consolidation, it's just going sideways, and consolidations tend to stay consolidated, kinda. So yeah, I'm not a fan of this price action here. The last 30 minutes, 40 minutes, not a fan. Not the cleanest price action anymore. So yeah, I guess it kinda turned into a 50-50 scenario in here, and the probabilities shifted to some regard. I'm keeping in mind this level that it could want to draw down there, but yet there is nothing in here that could frame me a high probability entry to run this out. If you would like take out those relative equal highs and then reject, then that's a different story. But in here, inside of this consolidation, that's where price likes to bang around from like one extreme to the other extreme and don't really like follow through, and that's usually pretty difficult condition to trade. So it's usually better to just wait. So yeah, this is all difficult price action right now, and yeah, we have those relative equal highs here that I believe they are kind of like too clean, and this low here is lower than this, I mean this high here, I'm sorry, is lower than this high here, which makes it a high probability candidate for a run on liquidity, generally speaking. So yeah, looks like it's making an attempt to possibly run that out, which kind of like makes sense, because look what happened. This candle here took this liquidity here, those relative equal lows, and it came back and closed with a wick, and price was trying to trade into this wick but couldn't approach consecutive encroachment at all. It couldn't reach any close to it, and eventually moved higher. So if they bought here, playing a devil's advocate, if they bought here, if they add here, where would they want to get out, right? On a very small high frequency trading basis above those relative equal highs buy side, because that's where liquidity is resting. So they use this sell side liquidity here, they use this discount array here, and they can possibly run it above the buy side here. I'm not saying that this will 100% happen, because we are still inside of this consolidation, and it's tricky always, or majority of time it's tricky, but that's like a very microstructure type of idea that I would look for. So the buy side here makes the most sense, and we traded to this inefficiency here once, twice, third time, so the fourth time we are coming into it, it's not likely to offer any resistance. It's actually likely to just smash right on through it, and then maybe it can even use it as inversion, but nonetheless, yeah, the buy side here might be the drill. So far stopping at the consecutive encroachment here, but I'm still watching if it can poke and run above the buy side or not. So yeah, obviously running the liquidity like this here from this low and this week, that would be like a best case scenario, right? So so taking something off at, like, I don't know, this rejection block here would be smart. But yeah, best case or the actual target from here would be the buy side. Alright, so this should just smash right on through it, in my opinion. I like the volume imbalance higher. This gap up, this little gap up, in my opinion, just like suggests that it's in a rush to reach the liquidity, and I would really like to see it just smash and poke above it. In ideal world, that's what I would expect. There we go, we poked above it with a wick. Preferably we would see some little bit more protraction here, who knows, but yeah, the buy side delivered, and with that we can study whether Prance wants to continue on going higher, or maybe it wants to reverse back inside of this consolidation, right? Alright, so now it should probably tell, because it traded to this small little volume imbalance, rejected that, and now we make a real run on the buy side liquidity. So from taking those relative equal lows, this discount week, this volume imbalance, and now we poke the buy side nicer. So taking the fact into consideration that we are inside of this range high to this range low, premium is here. So if they bought discount and they want to reach up into premium, they would be seeking possibly this inefficiency. Not saying that this will be the case, but that's like, if it wants to continue, then I would look for this. And yeah, and I would like to watch and see what it does. So far it poked higher with a week, but then rejected that, and it's like hanging around at the high of this consolidation. So this could act as inversion fair value gap now, or I'm watching if it can. I'm watching if it can. The consecutive encroachment was touched here, initial move higher. So generally, if we see price maintain above the upper half, I'm thinking here next. But if we collapse back inside of this range, then we might just bump inside of this consolidation. So I'm personally now watching how taking this relative equal highs could land well with maybe running this sell side here. That's the Asia low basically, because that would be like a perfect opportunity for them in here to accumulate like shorts, stopped out any previous shorts, and now it could like run in low resistance liquidity run fashion towards the sell side here, because they would do like enough damage potentially to anyone who was short from the start. So anytime we are taking relative equal highs like this, and we are possibly still looking for lower, this could be like a turning point. But to justify that, I would need to see like more rejection, more energy to the downside being offered, and so far it's just not there. So I'm thinking here, and this is just tape reading. I'm not trading this at the moment. There is nothing that's super obvious. There is nothing that's worth the risk at the moment, in my opinion. Right, so since then taking this buy side, all of these candles are overlapping basically inside of this range. No imbalances are being formed, nothing is being offered in terms of like a clue. The fact that price cannot really weather this consecutive encroachment would suggest some measure of weakness, but at the same time we are at this inversion fair value gap upper half, which is not being violated, which would be suggested as strength. So we have like conflicting PDRAs in here in a sense. So is that high probability? Not necessarily, and we would like to wait for one of those to give way, and that would be like a clue. And which one will give way first, I'm not sure. I don't necessarily know, and I don't feel like I need to know also. So because yeah, the point is that it could go here, right? But it could also go here, right? So it could go for a premium deeper retracement, and that would be like reasonable objective. But we could also think that the low from Asia is still like smooth, it's still like open, and you could think that that's a possible draw, and that wouldn't be wrong. To be honest, that wouldn't be wrong. So both of these are reasonably likely, or both of these are possible. Is that high probability? No, obviously not. If we can justify potential for up and down at the same time, by definition that's low probability. That's like 50-50. It could go here, it could go there. Like, you know, that's not the environment, that's not the probabilities that you want to like really work with, like really push, trade, do fancy stuff and stuff like this. That's not it, right? All right. So yeah, I want to be the voice of reason in here and prevent reckless trading. And if I even saved like a one trader from blowing up today, then I did my work. Like, yeah. But yeah, nonetheless, all of this is like high resistance price action, high resistance liquidity run condition. Every candle is overlapping, spending time inside of the previous candle's range. So that's not high probability by definition also. And yeah, but yeah, generally speaking, I like those relative equal lows here. I think this is like very clean and it might get revisited. The question is just when. Now we are seeing some measure of displacement, so let's watch how it can play out. So we've taken buy side recently, relative equal highs. We purged that nicely in here, and now we are seeing displacement lower. So that might be promising to send us towards the sell side liquidity here and the relative equal lows there. But yeah, yet I want to see this potential fair value gap to form and then trade into it, and I want to see how it does inside of it. Right, so looks like we have a SIBI or an actual suspension block, because we have volume imbalance on both ends. So I will annotate that. I will take off the buy side because that's one line less. And now if it's bearish, you want to see the lower half of this suspension block strictly respected. No body close above 50%. I'm not in a rush. I'm not in a rush at all, but I'm just watching. We've taken buy side liquidity. We made a displacement. Short-term swing low taken with this SIBI suspension block, and we do have still sell side liquidity here. That's potential or potentially likely as a draw. So I'm not saying that it's going to go there, because we have this here that could also be a draw on the upside. But if the price shows like real heaviness, then I would elect to favor the sell side here. And yeah, so far we couldn't even reach the low of the suspension block with a wick, not even a body but a wick. So that's right away suggesting some weakness in here. So if that's the case and we would form another inefficiency lower, I would like to see this act as breakaway gap. But let's see. There is no lower inefficiency as it is right now. There is this volume imbalance, but volume imbalances are very flexible, so I'm not like too concerned. Like it could easily trade up into the suspension block here still off of this volume imbalance or through it. So let's see. All right. So it tapped once into this volume balance, and it's not even showing too much willingness to do anything with it. So it looks heavy. It looks heavy. that's for sure. As it is right now, it looks heavy. So this BSI, if it is heavy, it should have no problem to trade below it on a closing basis, and then this should act as inversion, so any touch to it could offer an easy run towards the sell side here. And that's kind of something I'm watching right now that could unfold, but yeah, we'll see. So 3 minutes, slightly above 3 minutes until the macro at 350, and that would probably like give the proper insight about it, proper context, because with this price action in here and the macro and the draw, I would say we have everything to run the sell side out then, and that would be very like solid and immediate feedback, because if something would fail, if this actually would fail to deliver lower prices during this time, meaning the 350 to 410 macro, and this premium array here would fail to offer resistance, then I would consider being offside, and then it's probably going higher, and then the first printed fair value gap could be even a potential. But until that happens, I'm not worrying about that. So yeah, we'll see how it goes. 2 minutes until the macro. We are already in the lower half of this consolidation. Relative equal lows here with low resistance liquidity run conditions or signatures. Yeah, it should have a slight like easy slide lower through this BSI. If it's good, that's what it should do, and then the BSI should get inversed, possibly trade back into it and offer a run to and through the sell side here, and that would make sense. And yeah, that would basically conclude the long open session for me. But let's see how it goes. We've taken like 1, 2, and like some sell side here, so we've taken quite a few sell side liquidity pools along the way. No buy side liquidity was taken out since the high, and we extended pretty low in here, so also possible retracement toward this suspension block. Possible, I would say. Possible. Because yeah, taking into consideration fact that the smart money only is selling when price is going up, so they could have been selling here, right? So they've been selling here above the highs. They are not selling anything here, not selling because price is dropping, so they can't. And now price is trading higher, potentially into the suspension block, and this is where they could be selling. I don't know necessarily if that's what they want to do, because as I stated before, this is kind of like a low probability condition with this sell side and this inefficiency potentially being likely. but nonetheless, if they sold here, they didn't sold anything in here, but this rally up, that might offer them opportunity to sell. How we'll know if it's good? If the bodies stay inside of the lower half of this suspension block, then it's good, and then we should expect lower prices. So this is price element, this displacement here, this is the draw, and this is the time, so the macro. So all three are basically aligned, and I would say if it's good, it should deliver, right? So let's see. It's heading up into there. Damn it, I lost connection, but then got reconnected with an feel. That's less what I wanted, but if it were to work, this is something that would have been implied. And what I like about this is that it will give like immediate feedback, that if it's good, it will run quickly. If it's bad, if it's bad, it will be quickly stopped out, which generally I like those type of scenarios where it's like immediate feedback. So we've seen a small little close above this suspension block here, but the next candle opened below the 50%. If we can defend that upper half from posting like bodies inside of it, we could see a rollover lower. We do have those relatively close, they are nice, and we have the sell side, the final sell side right there. That could have been a nice target on the downside, but yeah, I don't want to see price like all right, this is bad, this is wrong, this is wrong, this is completely wrong. Yep. Alright, so that was the immediate feedback that I wanted to get, and yeah, that means that it's not interested inside of this sell-side liquidity at the moment, unless this was like a moho and price will roll over below the suspension blocks low, and then it would need to really like respect the lower half. So that's a possibility, but yeah, it doesn't look very promising, as we have this high now. With this high, they are very relatively equal, right? So that's kind of suspect to me, but nonetheless, let's see. Let's give it like a 5 more minutes. If it can actually roll over, I could re-enter then, but if it's not doing so, then I'm doing nothing. Right, so that's giving like a solid feedback during this time that it's not really interested in going lower at all at the moment. And if that's the case, this inefficiency might be still being drawn up into. But nonetheless, that's not necessarily something I would like to do. What I'm actually looking for rating, because we couldn't see a close above it even though weeks went above it, I'm watching if we can trade below it, and if that would be the case, then I would watch the lower half as possibly like a stiff, more pronounced resistance. But yeah, a little bit coloring outside of the lines in here. So that's something gets me or got me off guard in here. All right, let's see if we can leave the suspension block to the downside. Because if that would be the case, then and only then it would need to reject the lower half very strongly. But the problem with this is that we do have those relative equal highs in here right now. I don't like that or this type of like smooth and relative equal level so close to the area where I would consider going short. So that's somewhat like a red flag in my mind. But yeah, so it did traded below it on a with a week, but the body stayed inside of it still. So that's not what I'm looking for. I'm looking for a close below it, right? And then like strict respect to the lower half. So yeah. So apparently I got like stopped out here at the high. So I was a little bit too aggressive with the stop. And then placed it a tick above that. Nonetheless, it's trading deeper below it. But can it close below it? That's the question. Because if it can't, that's not bearish. And those highs are very suspect then. Okay, so it failed to close below it here, came all the way up and closed above this new day opening up high. So that's not bearish to me at the moment, taking into consideration fact that we have those relative equal highs in here. I'm still looking if we can like post a close in here. That would be something, but this so far it's not terribly bearish. But let's see. All right, nice displacement here. Sadly, again, I have some connection issues. That's not good. And now, as it did this close below, the lower half should never see a close above. All right, the lower half should never see a close above. If it does, that's just wrong. That's just bad, and that's going higher for the buy side. So key area in here, key moment. So yeah, the bigger picture is this. The sell side here is potentially the draw, the target. Relative equal lows in here all makes sense. The only thing that I don't like is that we have those relative equal highs here. That's suspect. And now, because we went into the upper half of this inefficiency on a closing basis, and we left the suspension block on a closing basis, the price should not post a body close above the 50%. It's not permitted. If it does that, I'm wrong about it going lower. All right, that's the drill, basically. And yeah, and because it has those relative equal highs here, I'm already like seeing this as a red flag. So this might not be the highest order of probability condition, but let's see if it delivers still. So I like the displacement. The displacement is nice, and it should keep on going. There's no reason to come back to the suspension block anytime soon. No reason to do so. It should stretch towards this BSI, and what it should do, it should inverse that. It should close below it, and it should act as inversion here. Because there are those relative equal lows here, it should have no problem to get through this level. So yeah. So yeah, it is what it is, because I did got stopped out on this Maha here, on this high of this week, exact high that stopped me out, and now it's like running nicely in my favor. It doesn't mean that it will 100% deliver, but the chances are that it can do so. And yeah, it should not come back to this suspension block. It should stay heavy. This inefficiency here, it should repel price lower and send it towards the sell side. So now we are approaching this BSI, and what I want to see it turn into an inversion for value gap bearish. So no support should be offered, and it should be just a nice run. So relatively low sell side taken out almost. I like to maintain the speed of this movement in here. The speed is nice. Closed inside this Bessie, touched the consecutive encroachment right there. Small little retracement is completely fine, but eventually rolling over this inefficiency towards the sell side would be best case scenario, and if that's the case, then I would be done for the London Open session. So small little fair value gap right there. Me personally, that would be like enough to trade into this and then reprice like aggressively lower. But yeah, I would allow for this higher CB to be worked, and the actual line in the sand would be this Bessie from 350 potential, I mean not potential, but inversion for value gap, because we close below it, and I would not like to see price explore the upper half. So stop loss, if I would be still short from here, would be basically at the high of this inversion for value gap here, and if it would come back there, then I would be done. But yeah, the sell side here still makes sense. That's definitely something that I would like to see, but a smooth smash below the Bessie, use it as inversion, deliver sell side, and that would be perfect. Alright, touching to this higher fair value gap. So basically I see this like this is like 1 PD array, this is like 2, and this is 3. So 3 PD arrays basically in this close proximity. If all of those are not respected, I'm wrong. I'm likely wrong, and then I'm likely to be just out. But as it is so far, I would say it still could deliver this run. Let's zoom out a little bit to get a better perspective. So that's the sell side here that potentially is on the hunt. These lows were not being taken out yet. It retraces back into some short-term premium here. So I could maybe try a short in here with like an aggressive stop loss, and if it cuts me out, then I'm out. But the problem is the internet connection again lagged. Shit. So yeah, I was literally like selling into this inefficiency here, but the order didn't went through yet, and I don't know where it will fill me. Probably not ideal. Alright, here. So okay, the stop would go above this inefficiency into the high of this inversion, assuming that it should like do a heavy expansion here, because it took the buy side relative equal highs, it rejected displacement, they sold here, and they sold here, and they sold here, and they didn't run out the sell side yet. So it makes a great deal of sense to still reach lower, so they can like close their positions, right? So if we can displace through this BC on a closing basis, then I will trim the stop loss right above this high, and I will just then see whether we can get the sell side or not. But yeah, that would make sense definitely, in my opinion, with what it's showing so far. Alright, I like that. It should pierce through those relative equal lows here and like do it on a closing basis. It didn't quite get the low yet, so the sell side is still resting below it. It was not taken out. Alright, so if you can take out the sell side, I will trim the stop loss lower, just for the sake of not willing to give up anything. If it wants to retrace here, I don't like that. The only thing that I like is just to smash on through the sell side. It didn't happen yet, so it seems like it could be an open scenario. Alright, so we got this sell side and now break even, and I want to see just a smash towards the lower sell side liquidity here. And again, I lost the connection. Oh my god. Alright, so there's just a heavy run lower. Closing below this, it should act as a stiff resistance too, so I can trim it a little bit lower, just like above this inversion here. So I make sure that I will not take a loss on this trade. So it's either going to take out the sell side here, and I'm cool with that, or I'm taking this break even. Alright, so let's see. Let's make it 50. That's a nice number. And yeah, it makes a lot of sense to run the sell side quickly here, so that first of all, no one gets the chance to like escape the liquidity, and also the fact that if they were selling the whole session here, the session is like going into the close, I mean into the lunch, and it would be very, very pleasant for them to just run it out before lunch and be done for Friday here. So coming really, really nicely, really close to the low. Again, my internet connection is struggling here, but nonetheless, let's see if we can get a run. We should see that soon, and that would be it. Small little volume imbalance right here. It could touch into that and then poke lower. There you go. So that would be it. So nice. Taking the fact into consideration that I was short from here and got stopped out here at the high and could have been participating in all of this, I was able to manage to take something out anyway. So that was reasonably nice. And with that, the target, the lowest target that I outlined for today's session was met. Can it go some below it? Maybe it can, I don't know. Nonetheless, it was a pleasure. Thank you guys for watching. Today 8 people, I saw 9 people at a time. That was probably a record for in a while, but nonetheless, I will be back next week with the New York pre-market 7 to 9 New York time, and we will be doing that session for a week. And yeah, that's the plan. So I wish you a pleasant weekend. Rest well, have a nice one. Thanks, Candy, for being. You are my hero here. Every stream this week you were there, so thank you for that. I appreciate that. Thanks, Kipikori Simon. Yeah, it went there perfectly. So the last stream for this week was really decent price action. And yeah, thanks, and see you guys next week. Bye bye.